Morning. This week across the world, in I guess online worship and churches, in homes, people will read a story out of John's story of Jesus. It's about resurrection and new life, breaking in to the lives of people who are distraught, despairing, disbelieving, confused, afraid. Let me tell you another story. I was sitting with this couple, a middle-aged couple who'd lost their daughter, mid-late 20s, just a few days previously. We'd prepared a funeral service, and I was catching up how they're going and hearing again of their grief and their pain and the sadness. When we were interrupted by their son, who was somewhat breathless. He'd just come from home and he recounted this experience. He said, I was sitting in the chair reading, thinking about my sister, when all of a sudden I looked up and there she was. She kind of walked into this room, said, "G'day mate, I'm okay, I'll be all right." Kept walking and disappeared. I don't know what to make of it. It was so real, and she was so real, and it was so important to hear that message. The parents were confused and wanted to know more and ask questions and kind of wished it was them that had had this experience. That's not a rare experience. I've heard it so many times. I've heard not that exact story, but those kinds of things of a dead person materialising in some way to grieving relatives. Not always, but it's not uncommon. I don't always know what to make of it, and it's usually told to me in whispers and quiet, and until there's a sense of trust that I'll take this seriously and value it as they do. It often provides a deal of comfort, I suppose, to the people. I know that psychology and modern science has various ways of explaining it away, that it's a construct of the mind projecting an image and a vision and whatever, it doesn't matter. That for the person it's real and it gives them comfort. It doesn't answer any questions, but it gives them comfort. And it's easy to look at that story and superimpose that onto the story that we read. You see, Jesus enters a room that's locked. The doors and walls are solid. And he enters this room. And in this room are people, disciples and followers, who are living in grief. Their world has effectively come to an end. It is no more. What they hoped and dreamed for, what was, isn't now because Jesus is dead, and they're afraid because the powers that put him to death are still out there. And what if they come for them? But what? Where do they go to? What now for them? Maybe return to what was, but life can never be the same again because of what they've experienced. So anyway, in the midst of this room, these people, this risen Christ appears and says, "Peace be with you." Just look at my hands, feet, body, the scars. He breathes on them and says, "Receive a Holy Spirit." And then commissions them to go into the world and declare the forgiveness of sin and be makers of peace in the name of God. In other words, to live out this life that Jesus lived, of declaring peace and reconciliation and life in God to the world. The reign of God, if you like. And then he disappears. I don't know what the disciples, we don't hear a whole lot, they're amazed. Wow, what's this? They tell Thomas, who we discover is not there that night, one of the disciples, a twin. And he says, well, I can't believe this unless I see it and feel it for myself. And a week later, they're still in the same room, same place, still hiding away from the world. Jesus once again appears through the locked doors and solid walls. Peace be with you. Thomas, have a look at this. Have a look at this. It's me. Thomas, in a great expression of faith, says, my Lord and my God. And Jesus commissions them to go and be reconcilers in the world, to proclaim the declaration of forgiveness and life in God that is already theirs. If you go and live the life of reconciliation, of peace, of forgiveness, it will be manifest and real. If you don't, you live under this old way, this way of yours, the way of the world, which is about revenge and violence and greed and all the other bits and pieces we experience. And then he disappears. The difference between the two stories is this one brings some measure of psychological comfort. The brother experiences his sister in some way, whatever it is, whether it's a psychological thing or whatever. And he has a degree of comfort. It didn't change him particularly much. It wasn't a transformative moment, it was a comforting moment. The story that John tells of Jesus and the disciples is comforting. In the midst of their chaos, in the midst of their mess, Jesus offers comfort. Peace be with you. But more than that, he offers a transformative experience. Life can never be the same again because I am with you in a different and more profound way, and I am with you. And everything I did and said and was, I want you to take up and do and be. The old life, the old world is dead, and the new one is beginning. You can either live in the old world of Caesar and Rome, or the reign of God. And this is a fearful, dramatic experience because it calls from us something so different. It's not just watching Jesus do something over here, but it's being invited into the place where we live it, where we are part of it, where we go and reconcile with people and express the vision of God's reign. This world is God's, and the justice is God's, and there's enough for all people. We're invited into something that's new. Well, it's not new, but it's different. It's a new way of seeing, a worldview. It breaks open everything. It calls out of us a death to what was, to our worldview, and a rebirth through new life, to see the world through God's eyes. The eyes of love and grace and forgiveness and compassion and reconciliation and inclusion and justice and peace. And I'm wondering, in the midst of this coronavirus crisis that is all around us, what does it mean? We're in our locked rooms, hidden away from the world. What does it mean for us to see differently. That maybe the economic systems we've idolised are not the deepest truth. Maybe this way of accumulation and greed, of power and control, it's not the way of life. Maybe this way of separating ourselves and seeing the differences in people, of holding those differences apart and protecting ourselves from difference, from other people, from people we don't like or don't understand. It's not the way of life. And the people are actually doing that to us. Most of these stories of resurrection in the Gospels, I mean, how do you express the inexpressible? But most of them are filled with moments of fear and confusion and uncertainty. And I'm sure that part of the fear is the realisation in these followers of Jesus that what he said and did is real. The most real thing that they can know and experience. And that he is calling them into that life. And that makes them vulnerable. It brings confusion, but it also brings great hope and life. And maybe it's the only way forward for our world. So as we ponder the beauty of the world around us and the quietness of our solitude, as we seek meaning in it all, maybe in this story we can experience the transformative breaking in of God's reign into our lives, calling forth from us something new and different, something that is life-giving for us and the world, something that will transform our imagination, our being and our way of seeing, and bring love, forgiveness, mercy, compassion, peace, joy, hope into everything we do. May God be with you.